Okay, well, this is our Love Guru segment of the Defending Champ channel. This is going to be something that I will read from an anonymous caller or anonymous reader. Dear David, I've been in a relationship for over a year now, and the reason I'm writing in is because he is constantly making sexual innuendos towards me and about me in private and public, and it makes me feel embarrassed and uncomfortable. I have told him countless times to not make sexual remarks towards me. I don't mind if it's just a general sexual joke, but I just prefer the jokes to not involve me, especially when other people are around. He stopped for a while, then continued, and I've given up correcting him because it feels like I'm nagging by bringing it up so often. I feel like he knows I don't like it, so may just be saying these things to get a reaction out of me. I'm unsure if my feelings about this are simply caused by my own insecurities and that maybe I'm just being too sensitive. Or is this something I should try to bring up again because it still upsets me every time? We have ceased all intimacy for the past few months as I have no sex drive. He constantly asks me to be intimate, but I have no desire, yet I am filled with guilt every time I decline. Sometimes he asks me incessantly for hours, which is emotionally draining for me, and I don't understand why he would want to sleep with someone when they don't want to. I'm not sure if him making sex jokes at my expense has resulted in my non-existent libido, but it definitely hasn't helped. I feel like he doesn't care about my feelings each time this occurs, and I find it difficult to sleep with someone once I am aware they are inconsiderate of my feelings. So I'd like to know, do most men make these types of jokes about their partners, and do their partners genuinely find it funny? Should I just accept that these are the type of jokes he will always make and learn to live with it? Am I making a big deal about something most women would not see as something to worry over? Alright, we're going to try to record this response outside. Hopefully there's not too much noise pollution, lawn mowing and such. Alright, you talked about being embarrassed and uncomfortable, and you're kind of asking, is it okay that my partner behaves in ways that cause me to feel negative emotions? I feel uncomfortable, I feel embarrassed, feeling bad about myself. And I think the obvious answer is that this is not okay. But sometimes, is it possible for a partner to be behaving in ways that make you feel negatively and they're just not aware? That there just hasn't been enough open communication to have a real understanding of how their behavior is affecting you? Sometimes that's possible. It sounds like in this case, though, that you have openly expressed your wants and needs and in the ways in which his behavior is troubling you. And you even said that you suspect he might even do it because he knows that you don't like it, right? So you're even suspecting that some of these jokes, some of these things that are affecting you in a negative way, that he's intentionally trying to affect you in a negative way. And my immediate thought with that is that he's not scared of losing you, right? When a man values a woman and that's his partner, there's definitely occasionally, right? People make mistakes. People can step over the line. People can tease at the others. People aren't perfect, right? I'm not trying to pretend like that there's these perfect relationships out there. But if it's something that's serious and you've expressed how serious it is to you, which maybe I'm not sure based on the information here to what degree you've expressed this, but that's the obvious first step, right? The first step is, can you make sure that you have clearly articulated in the best way possible how you're thinking, how you're feeling about the situation? And you have to have the courage to do that. And so I'm not sure if you have or you haven't. I know you've expressed some of it, as you've said, that you've let him know that these things bother you. But my first suggestion, which I would always suggest to people, is okay, write it out. Write out exactly how you're thinking, how you're feeling. What does he need to know so that that beyond a shadow of a doubt, he has all the information he needs to know how you're feeling and how his behavior is affecting you. So at that point, it's in his hands. It's no longer something where, well, maybe he doesn't quite know, maybe he doesn't quite get it. So that's the first step. You write something out, and You can decide whether you hand that written thing to him, whether you read it to him, but you have to tell him exactly how he's affecting you, how you feel about him, how you're feeling about the whole relationship. Now, another part here is you're talking about how he wants sex. You can't understand, why does he want to have sex with someone who doesn't want to have it with him? Well, I mean, that part is you're in a relationship, and I would say it's pretty standard that people that are in relationships, part of that tends to be that they have a sex drive and they desire sex and intimacy from their partner. So why does he want to have sex with you? Well, you are his girlfriend. It doesn't mean that this is required. There's certainly people that can say, hey, let's be in a romantic relationship and never have sex. And I'd say maybe that's totally fine if that's what two people want. But generally speaking, we can kind of assume that that's not the case. And this does not seem to be one of those situations. So, while he also is being inconsiderate, it sounds like, of your feelings with jokes he's making that seem to be affecting you in a negative way, part of his needs in the relationship is he has these sexual needs. And the question is, are you guys talking about how to get on the same page here? Are you talking about, should we, if you're having a lack of sex drive, do you need to talk to a doctor about this? Do you need to go to couples counseling to talk about your sexual differences and what you want and to see if there's a way to work it out? And just, what do you want in a relationship? And, you mentioned how perhaps the lack of sex drive even is coming from the dynamic with him. And while part of me doubts that would be the entire, situation going on, there might be other things. You mentioned you have your own insecurities that might be, getting in the way of certain things. But, of course, the big, the big thing here is why are you with someone who it seems like you have a pretty clear idea that this person doesn't care about your feelings. And I'm not sure. Perhaps neither one of you care about each other's feelings. And maybe this connects to the insecurities, right? So just big picture of why do people stay in bad relationships, and so often it's you have insecurities. Well, I don't want to, maybe I'm not good enough to find someone else who will treat me well. Maybe I don't want to put in the effort. Maybe I'm afraid of being alone for a while. And, people might want to say feel-good things about, it's okay to be alone and don't worry about it and love yourself first, and all these cliches that generally I'd say are pretty unhelpful. But the question is how do you want to live your life? Do you want to live your life as a person who really puts everything on the line to get what you want out of life, to try to live according to your values? What are your values, and how does that fit into the framework of your relationship and what you want romantically in your life? And is this really what you want? And at some point, it's not about some cliches that someone will give you about, it's okay to be alone and this and not the other. It's, do you want, I think, this is maybe more of a recent discovery of mine, that if there is a choice, it's sort of, do I want to live life in a courageous way? Especially with all the things that are going on in society right now, where I feel like just many aspects of modernity are sort of tainting our existence, right? They're lessening, they're sort of killing our ways of being human, of connecting to people in real ways, to having values besides attention seeking and hedonistic pursuits and anything deeper than getting validation points online and racking up attention points in various ways. Anyway, maybe that's for some of my other videos, but the point is, do you want to approach life in a courageous way? And part of that is saying, hey, look, I don't have to immediately break up with this guy, but I can tell him directly, this is what I want and need in a relationship. I also want to hear your wants and needs, and we can either both strive to, within a reasonable framework, do everything we can to meet those wants and needs for each other, to care deeply about each other, or I'm willing to walk away. But if this person knows you're not willing to walk away, and on top of that sounds like they're not getting their needs met, what is their, they kind of lack that incentive to treat you well, right? They're not getting their wants and needs met, and at the same time they don't think you're going anywhere, so they feel like, what's the incentive? Why should I treat this person well? I'm really not that happy with them. They're not meeting my needs. We don't seem to be having any sort of conversation or meaningful movement towards my needs being met. And in turn, maybe there's, like I said earlier, there might be a mutual lack of caring of each other's needs, right? So that part, I'm not sure. Maybe you do go all out for his needs, and the sex thing is something that you feel that you've done everything you can to solve. But if not, the reality is you have to accept that, yes, this person is not going to be happy in a relationship with someone who doesn't want to be sexual with them. And even if there's some things that are out of your control, there's still either you're making your best effort to work on those issues or you're not making your best effort. You're looking for solutions, you're talking to doctors, therapists, and so on. And if you've exhausted all possible options, then you're in a different place where you can say, okay, well, this is just who I am at this point. Take it or leave it. But if you haven't, that's another story, right? Then you're also not caring about this person's needs in a relationship. But that all being said, based on information that I know about sort of the dynamic with this person, this might not be a great person. This might not be a person that has a ton of compassion and empathy. Doesn't sound like they have a whole lot of respect for you. And so the simple solution could just be to say, yeah, leave him. But you have to be willing. You have to be willing to be courageous either way. And I'd say the starting point is not just leaving him. It's making sure you articulate exactly how you're thinking and feeling in a way that's not attacking, but it's also not sugarcoating anything. So direct, assertive, truthful, but also in the middle of that expressing why you are in the relationship. Why do you care about this person? And telling this person how much you value them, right? And if you can't come up with those reasons, that might be telling you something too. If in the midst of this letter, you're trying to come up with, okay, let me also, while I'm expressing my needs, let me also let them know all the things that they're doing right and how good they are and how much I love them. But if you can't come up with those reasons, that might be something to think about too. It might, like I said, it might be the mutual not caring about each other. So, as far as some of the things you said towards the end, do most people accept this? Do most people do this? I really would say it doesn't matter. Do most men make these jokes? It doesn't matter what most people do, really, in any regard. Except for maybe if you're just trying to figure out, how do most people, making generalizations about people's psychology and what they want and need, that can be kind of helpful. But as far as just what society is doing at large, it's irrelevant. What's really relevant is, what do you want? What do you find to be reasonable expectations? And are you willing to meet those yourself? And if you are, then you can demand those, and you do deserve those. If you can come up with, if you have a long list of what you require in a partner, I think that's fine if you're going to deliver those things as well. But really, there's no need for the long list, generally. It boils down to, aside from just the basics of chemistry, attraction, whatever, when you get beyond just that initial, I dig this person for whatever reason, is this person willing to communicate openly with me? Do they care about me? Do they care about my wants and needs? Do I care about theirs? And so you got to figure that out. Do you care about his wants and needs? Does he care about yours? And if not, why are you together? What are you afraid of? And are you willing to address that with courage?